What's up? Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. I'm Kevin Burch, joined by my buddy.
I'm Jeff Sisk.
Welcome to the show. We're actually broadcasting from a place that we know growing up as Manassanites. This is the Salisbury Center studios, and which used to be the Red Yank Theater. Pretty surreal to actually be sitting in here doing this show, but here we go.
I hear you, brother. I'm going to start off here with tons of love because I'm feeling it's New Year's too, coming off of New Year's Day. So a little bit of a step into the new year. I am honored and privileged to be like Kevin just described us here as Manassasites. Is that the word, Manassasites?
We'll go with that.
There was the Manass holes.
That is another word.
I don't know if you wanted to, deem us down into that yet, but we'll stick with the Manassasites. Yeah. But Kevin has been a lifelong brother to me. Oh, sorry, I was distracted there. I'm new to this. I'm a babe in the woods. This is my first ever podcasting or streaming experience. Kevin and I go way back. Just to introduce ourselves a little bit, we knew each other from high school and became friends in high school. And one of the things that bonded us, I feel, as friends, is love of music, rock and roll, metal. I think that, with calling this a rock show, we debated this with the title of Stand Up and Shout and having it be, what are we going to call this and what do we deem it? And how do we classify all of the music and topics that we'll talk about? And I think that that's really difficult.
Absolutely. I think, at least for me initially, when I got into music.
Really quick, grab the other microphone for me. Sorry. First show, technical difficulties already. You got it. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, when I got into music, my older brothers were listening to stuff like AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne. The first album I ever purchased was Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz. Nice. So it was kind of more in the metal realm. And, I think as we grow older, our tastes evolve a little bit. And there's to call it just a metal show, I think would be too limiting.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would still say that it's our first love. And
for sure,
it was my first love. I feel like I have a broad palette and a broad taste in terms of music and rock and roll specifically. I even like a lot of music outside of rock and roll. But even with that being said, you always have your first love. And that's where Kevin and I first bonded in high school. I remember going to shows with you. I guess we have to decide how we're going to confess our ages here, and how much we want to reveal, regarding that. Not necessarily the most flattering thing potentially, but we'll say that there was a 1 in the first digit of the years that when we started going to shows. I am wearing a shirt from one of the first shows that I we saw back in the 80s in the day, a band that I love dearly. And that's kind of, my roots where I'm from, originally Western Maryland, and I moved into Manassas where I met Kevin, and we started running around and doing our thing. So even extending beyond high school, because I'm talking about the high school experience, Kevin and I became college roommates. And then from there, that's a little bit of Kevin's background then too, as I'm filling in your background because I'm selling you up. You were then a DJ with WUVT.
Yep. Yeah. So we went to Virginia Tech, got into, obviously was able to parlay my love of metal and rock music into a DJ show. Started on the college station there, AM, moved quickly over to the FM side of the house and was a program director, metal music director. I don't have a musical bone in my body, so I couldn't play guitar, couldn't sing, couldn't do anything that way. So I was able to cater to my love of music, being on air and talking about bands that I like and new stuff that was out. And, so that's sort of where it was. Yeah.
I feel though, with that professional background, you look doubly important there with the 2 microphones, pointing at you.
Yeah.
I guess that makes me the novice with 1 as opposed to the double barrel that you're looking down right now.
For sure. But, so this is cool, kicking off this show. We're going to talk about a lot of music, promote some shows that are coming up to the Salisbury Center. But, it's a great time, I think, for music, coming out of COVID. A lot of bands got to get back into the studio and do some recording and stuff. And the amount of bands that have been on tour since COVID let up has just been awesome. And we've seen, we go to a ton of shows together. So we got to see a bunch of bands. even during COVID, I think one of the big bands that has tied us together as a group, including, Jeff, our friend and co-host or co-owner of the Salisbury Center, we had a lot of bands that we grew up listening to, and Kicks was one of them.
Oh yeah.
So you just heard Jeff Salisbury kick in, and so like he's wearing a Kick shirt too. He's just not on the video right now. So we're twinsies. So if you wanted to confuse all of this even further, not only are we both named Jeff, but we both have Kick shirts on.
Got to support Kicks.
Yeah,
How can you not?
and so I think that was probably the last. Well, you've probably seen a couple shows since, but we got to see them recently. A great band that came out of this area that's done a lot and been a lot of places. And, unfortunately we were there when, I think it turned out okay, but what at the time seemed like a potentially really tragic incident occurred at that show about a month ago or so.
Yeah. So
The Kicks show you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Just to clarify for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That was Pete Evick,
Yes.
local legend also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming in, he'll be on here shortly.
Yeah, so we were, there for the first night of a 2-night stint out in Leesburg, and right after I think some may have heard about this incident, but right after Jimmy finished up his drum solo, they were getting ready to kick into one of the last songs of the set, and there was no drums anymore, and he happened to have had a cardiac incident and slumped over his drum kit, and fortunately there were some folks that were EMT certified, CPR certified, that jumped in and actually, kept him alive until the actual rescue squad could get there.
And Kevin, your son was one of those people. You got to left that little piece out. You got to been proud there as a papa for the way that your son acted that night.
Yeah, that was, he's, it's great. I have a 25-year-old. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 25. And Jake is, of the 3, the one who shares a lot of the same musical taste. So we've introduced him to a lot of the bands that we used to see, and he's gone to a number of shows. But he is Wilderness EMT CPR certified. And when that happened, he's like, I'm a first responder. What should I do? And I basically said, get your fucking ass up on the stage, because he's in a bad spot. And fortunately, the bass player, Mark Schenker, he's also certified and was, taking care of things, as well as one of the band techs. And so he was there, and, he was pretty torn up afterwards. I think that was the first time he was ever put into a situation like that. But fortunately for everybody, Jimmy recovered. He's in recovery. Sounds like the band is taking a bit of a break, and then going to be hitting the road here in a couple months again. So great things, and happy to hear that he's going to be okay.
Strategically, we were in a spot that night just to really kind of react. So like Jake was in a good spot. We just happened to be really kind of down in front, stage right, towards the entrance of the way that venue is arranged. So where that group walks out, we just happened to be in the spot where there was easy access. So, it was just the right place and the right time, I guess, in that way. And so It was really kind of, obviously, like we go to the background of all of the shows. We've talked about that very briefly, and the experiences that we've had together. And, I talked about Kevin and I, because we were just introducing ourselves for the first time with this first show. The 2 of us and Jeff Salisbury of the Salisbury Center didn't happen to be at his post, but he's back right now. But he's a part of that,
It's
too.
a rock show, dude. I had to do shots with Pete. Pete's heavy metal.
And then there's Pete. So
Pete Evick.
right. So we all go back to the high school days of seeing all of these shows. I can't imagine the hours, if we added up all of the hours of not even just rock experiences, but metal. If we wanted to be specific to metal, how many hours that are out there between all of us, how many thousands of hours can you imagine that to be? It's just outrageous. And that to me, again, I get all kind of feel good and lovey about that. I can't appreciate this day enough. If this podcast and radio show wasn't even happening, it'd be cool just to sit in the room, as you're bringing up there, Jeff, doing the shots, that kind of thing, and just
We can bring you shots. We can bring you shots too. I know tomorrow's a school day, so you may not be ready for that.
right, no doubt.
You used to be heavy metal, but now it's responsible guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, so like, you want to go to a superficial topic related to kicks, like as I was thinking, and Kevin was talking, because I was thinking about that night and the song that it's just a much more superficial topic because we talked about the serious topic, and of course we're going to be thankful to see kicks again because I can't see those guys enough. I can't even begin to count how many times that we have seen kicks. Forget about the minutes and the hours, but the actual event count would be dozens and dozens.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were talking about this, and I didn't even want to try and venture a guess because we've seen them in big venues, small venues, Shally Acres, Warner Theater. They played at Burris Hall at Virginia Tech when we were there, which was wild. And obviously countless shows at clubs and venues around the DC area, Hammerjacks and such, places that no longer exist anymore. So the fact that they're still touring, they're still recording, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Hammerjacks always exist in our heart.
Oh yeah. I guess Hammerjack love coming over from Pete. Yeah. I had to look up Pete. Like, I'm a babe in the woods with this. This is my first time doing anything like this. So like, I just heard the voice and then it's dark and kind of, mirage image through there.
If it matters, brother, I have done hundreds of these podcasts from all kinds of people, and you are a pro for day one. You sound like you've done a million of them. It sounds great in there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'll take that. I don't know. Somebody told me I had diarrhea of the mouth. So like, I guess I'll take that as that compliment.
Actually, you're kind of quiet and mellow. I can tell you're nervous at your first time because if everybody knows Jeff, that's also known as Aesop, he's got lots of energy and lots of stories, and you guys are going to be filled in with lots of entertaining stuff all the way from many years back up until today. Jeff tries to keep it alive, and Kevin, we've been friends since, third grade?
Yep. Yeah. So to bring that up is, Jeff and I, we first met in third grade. We were on the same soccer team.
Nice.
Long-term Manassanites. And, again, it's really surreal to be sitting in this place that Jeff is one of the co-owners of, and that it's an entertainment center now, and that we're going to have some great acts coming up. We're going to talk to Pete, who's actually got a gig coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Yep, January 14th.
Yep. So
we'll
get to hear about that, and looking forward to that show, and just kind of talking music and promoting what's going on in Manassas, because a lot of things have been happening.
Absolutely. But I'm going to get back to my superficial kicks question, because this always comes out to me when I'm in the audience, and all of us in the audience, we've talked about this, and I don't think that there is an answer to this question, but it's about Kicks' closing song. So, traditionally, like way back in our day, it was always
in the good old days, yeah.
It was always yeah. They always shut down with yeah. But in recent years,
that's not PC nowadays, though.
You think that's the reason?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah?
Pete, do you have any insight on that you can divulge?
What I would say is I've known Steve for a long time. Is this politically correct show, or can I say whatever I want?
Yeah.
Go with it.
Whiteman doesn't give a fuck. He does whatever he wants to do for his own reasons. He is the epitome of rock and roll. He's the real fucking thing. So I don't think that it's because of Me Too reasons or anything like that. I just think that he's been doing this as long as all of us have been alive, and is whatever reason he has for it is his own. But I don't think Steve's the epitome of rock and roll. He is equal to Dee Snider or Kevin DuBrow back in the day, or any of those guys that did whatever, or David Lee Roth. He does whatever he wants to do at all costs, whether it hurts or helps him. So I don't think there's motive. I think it's just some personal reason.
Well, here, really quick, let's go to break, and then we're going to get Evick on. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think it's a
Yeah,
great
I love
transition. Love it.
That was great input, and I'm glad to hear that he's still rock and roll, because I was afraid that it was Me Too, and I thought for a long time, because I hadn't heard it, that maybe it's Me Too, but that's good to hear. Thanks for the input, and I guess we'll go to break and come back to Pete after this.
It's Wild Style Radio.
Welcome back to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. As we mentioned going into break, we're now joined in studio by Pete Evick, guitarist, vocalist of Evick, who will be performing here at the Salisbury Center on January the 14th. So excited to have you in with us.
By the way, in the last 20 years, it's not many people that don't go, Bret Michaels guitar player. So thank you for calling me something else other than that. Thank you. Not that I'm not honored and grateful.
Pete, I'm gonna interrupt and like throw it back. I still think of you as an amethyst.
Amethyst.
Yeah, how to go
That's
down.
right.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I talk to Tom and Ray and all those guys still every day, and that's where I started, and that's where it was. It's still an incredible part of my history, man.
You were the first person I ever saw, like in live, not on TV, with a wireless guitar.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
I remember. I mean, those things were so expensive.
Yeah.
And I went down to Music City, and if you remember, I worked there later in life, and I had a special bond with those guys that a lot of other people locally didn't have, and I begged them. I said, "Man, just let me borrow that one." I mean, those things were like $2,000 back in the day when we were kids. I said, "Please let me have that wireless. Let me just borrow it for one night." And the hour-long verbal beating I had to take about taking care of it and all that, but they let me use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were at a talent show, and I remember you, like in that talent show, were able to take off of the stage and then run up and down the aisles. You were the only person in that talent show that was able to do that.
I watched that video. Actually, my bass player in the time, Justin Raybuck, has that video.
Wow.
And such a clown act. Like I got to be honest with you, and God rest his soul. Who was, he just passed away, the singer that replaced Sebastian Bach or in Skid Row, Johnny Solinger. And I remember seeing Solinger at Jiffy Lube Live opening for Poison maybe 20 years ago, and he went and ran through the audience, and it seems so stupid to me. And I remember having a flashback going, I did that at my high school talent show, and did everybody think I was a clown that day? But it's funny. The technology was cool back then. So.
Right. I was gonna say, I was in that high school talent show. I was like, we were all jealous.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the move.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you remember. I remember every minute of that. It's funny when I talk to people sometimes, they get amazed at how much of those memories still reside in me, because in all honesty, I've gotten to do some really amazing things.
Yeah.
But I still remember every moment of all. I remember you playing.
Yeah.
I remember all of it, you know, and it still holds value in my heart.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget those days. I'm never going to forget the friendship, but yet the friendly competition, the unity, but yet all of us hoping we were better than each other. I remember all of it, but it was all community, and we didn't need to be in Los Angeles. We had our own little scene, and it was as important as anything to us.
Yeah.
And it meant everything. And it was cool. I don't forget any moment of any of those things, man.
Yeah. That's obviously like I said, that's the specialness of this day. We were talking about that in the very, very beginning. Like all four of us have a bite of this dream.
Right.
You know, that we did back then. And of course, like I feel it's been amazing to watch you over the years,
right?
You know, really excel and grow into that. And
sure,
congratulations to you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, but the truth of the matter of that is that I have this conversation a lot. There's, even in our small town, every one of you guys were more talented than me. You all sang better. Everyone played better than me. Ferguson played better than me to this day. But the difference was, for me, is my mother actually said, if this is what you want to do for a living, put yourself in a position where it's the only thing you can do. Where most parents said, get a fallback. So here I am, 50 years old right now, and if this was all over, I'd be in a lot of fucking trouble, because I don't know how to do a fucking thing other than play the guitar and sing, right? So that's what. It's never been my talent, my image. Everybody, you're 100 times better looking than me, and everybody's better player than me. It was survival. Yeah. But survival has managed to take me places that most people dream of being. I fucking played Super Bowl party at the Playboy Mansion. Who gets to do that?
Right.
I got to play in Saddam Hussein's palace. Yeah. Right? I played 4th of July under the arch in St. Louis for 125,000 people. So God bless my mother for being the only woman in the world to say, don't have a fallback, right. But I never once thought it was about the talent. It was just sheer drive, and fear.
I'm going to disagree with you about the talent. You're a great player.
I
So,
agree with you, Jeff.
right?
He's
Like
fantastic.
back
but
up on that.
I
Yeah.
think Pete's biggest thing is he's got motivation like nobody else.
Motivation, correct.
Yeah.
But you tell me I'm a great player,
Yeah.
and forgive me for what I'm about to say, but you understand that now in the world I live in, CeCe DeVille's my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Vic Johnson from Sammy Hagar's band is my friend, and all these guys, the guys from Warrant and the guys from Kicks. So maybe I was a great talent in high school, but my friends now are the legends I worshiped.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to think that I'm any good when I'm out there making a living feeding my kids playing those Poison songs, but CeCe wrote those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that you think I'm a great talent, but the talent is in writing those songs.
Right.
I didn't write Talk Dirty to Me.
Right.
None of us wrote Blow My Fuse.
Right.
Or Don't Close My Eyes, since Kicks is a theme here.
I think it's going to be a big theme for this show.
Yeah. It's funny, if you don't mind me saying, I was on that Monsters of Rock cruise a couple of years ago performing. Me and Eric Brittingham from Cinderella have an acoustic act that we do. And in the set, I do this storytelling thing where I play songs from different bands and I tell stories about each band and what they meant to me. And have you been on the cruise?
I have not.
Have you been? Have you
I
guys?
am dying.
I have
to do
not.
that as one of the things that's on my bucket list.
Why have you not done that?
I
yet?
know. I don't know.
Seriously, have you not been on it, Jeff?
I haven't.
Man,
I know.
it's unbelievable. So, most bands play 2 or 3 gigs on the cruise, and we were a morning act because it's 24-hour talent basically. So we got up and we had to do the breakfast by the pool at 8 a.m. gig, and we're playing, and I'm telling these stories, and all of a sudden, behind my ear, I hear, "Do you have a Kick story?" And I look, and it's Jimmy. Jimmy's literally walked up behind me, standing on the stage, and he's talking. And I said, "Yeah, I have a Kicks fucking story." I said, "Here's my fucking story about Kicks. If you came from Baltimore or Maryland or Virginia, or Baltimore or Maryland, they're the same place, sorry. But if you came from Maryland or West Virginia or Virginia, you couldn't play unless you were held to the ranks of Kicks. You were either as good as Kicks or you fucking sucked." And I said, "So yeah, I have a Kick story. You guys are the vein of my existence. You made me as good as I am because I strive to be as good as Kicks, but you also reminded me every day that no one is as good as Kicks." When I joined Bret's band, the first fucking thing he said to me was, "Can you guys do the things that Kicks do?" Because Bret was from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Me and Bret, sometimes Bret comes to my house and we'll drive up to what was his father's house. His father passed away, but we'll drive up there. Bret's parents' house is only 79 miles from my house. That's he grew up that close to us, right?
Wow.
And so when Bret was coming up in Paris, that became Poison, they would go see Kicks.
Sure.
So he was in. Kicks is Bret and Ricky's favorite fucking band. Like they're as influenced by Kicks as we are.
Wow.
And so that whole harmonica thing and everything that Bret does, it's because of Kicks.
Wow.
That reach is so giant.
Sure.
Poison went on to be, let's be honest with you, they're in the top 5 of the entire generation, but the influence was Kicks.
Sure. Wow.
You get where I'm going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So kudos to Kicks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And still, to me, they still put together an amazing live performance.
It blows my mind.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily, of course, the sound is the most important thing in the songs, but then the movement.
Oh yeah.
How they approach the stage.
I mean, Steve's approaching 70.
Yeah.
I mean, so is Hagar.
His
Hagar's
60s,
almost 80.
Yeah.
But it's rare,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And when you watch Steve to this day, maybe you guys can tell me, when I watch him, it's the same guy I watched when I was
Absolutely.
15.
Absolutely.
Like nothing different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's unbelievable.
He's amazing.
Yeah. I remember with Steve when he started Funny Money, and if you guys remember, I owned that recording studio here in the city of Manassas called Clear Sound.
Yep.
I recorded their first song ever, Funny Money song, and I'd never recorded anything that pro before. And he came in, and it was a cover of a Cheap Trick song that was going on a Cheap Trick compilation, and I was so excited. I was going to produce Steve Whiteman, or engineer, because I think Billy Andrews, their guitar player, was the producer, but I was going to engineer it. So I did everything. I set everything up. I got on the mics. I did it, and Steve did his vocal take for this song. And I remember just trying to be pro. I hit the talk back, and I said, "Steve, that was great. Do you want to come in and listen?" And he goes, "No, I got it." I went, "What? Are you that pro that you don't even have to?" He goes, "No, just double it. Just send me another check and let me double it. I got it." And I remember at that moment going, "That's why I haven't made it yet."
He's amazing for sure.
He's something. It was a whole different level than anything any of us had ever known.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, kicks. That's all I can say. Kicks.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is all. That's good stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
It's crazy how two big bands from DC influenced a lot of people, and a lot of people don't know about them. Kicks and Fugazi.
Fugazi,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
I run into a lot of people that punk scene and Bad Brains. Don't forget Bad Brains.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie Vedder says that Fugazi was his biggest influence.
Right. It's funny how
Of course,
that
Dave Grohl coming from the DC punk scene also.
Yeah, I have a great Dave Grohl story.
Yeah.
Right. So, the first time the Foo Fighters ever played HF Festival,
Yes.
my band, Some Odd Reason, at the time was playing a place called Bad Habits in Arlington.
Yep.
And he came in after his show. I guess it was a place maybe he used to come to or whatever. And I
Probably
remember
a Scream he went.
what's that?
Probably a Scream they played.
Yeah. And I remember seeing him come in and going to the back, and I would watch him from the stage. I was the guitar player in this band, not the singer. And at the end of I thought maybe that's him, but I wasn't sure. But I thought maybe it was him. And then at the end of the night, we closed with Rock and Roll Night. And all of a sudden, this waitress brings this napkin up that says, "Great Kiss rendition, Dave Grohl."
Awesome. You still have it?
Yeah. And
Oh,
then-
yeah.
yeah. We still have it in our pile of stuff. But we never talked to him, never said anything. But it sticks in my head all the
Of
time.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew, though? Who knew that?
Oh, yeah.
Who knew that Grohl, the drummer of Nirvana, would become that generation's Robert Plant?
Sure.
He is.
Yeah, sure.
Is so much like I say about the 80s. I thought that, all of us growing up thought that David Lee Roth would be
Oh, yeah.
our Elvis, our Robert Plant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's clearly not the case.
Right.
Whether you guys agree with me or not, it's Bret.
yeah.
I mean, it's Bret. He stayed in shape.
Yeah.
His voice sounds perfect.
Yep.
I mean, every headline from that stadium tour every night was Bret wiped everybody's ass.
Like in bringing up Bret, I'm shifting gears a little
Yeah.
bit, because I'm going back to, the Sinestro.
Sinistral, the brewery in Manassas.
Oh, Jesus. Let me finish my statement real quick. So, in our generation, as a kid, I thought it was going to be Roth,
Right.
but it turned out to be Bret. There's no question it's Bret. I know maybe some people think it might be Vince, but Vince is my friend. He's my friend, but it's Bret. And the stadium tour proved that. But moving into the grunge genre, no one had a even inkling that it would be Grohl. They thought it would be.
Oh, no.
They
Grohl
thought
for 30 years he's influenced.
they thought it would be Vedder
Right.
or even Chris Cornell.
Mm-hmm.
But Dave Grohl's going down in history, buddy.
Yeah.
He's in the history books.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Virginia boy.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see what comes up with this newest
made the new-
incarnation. Right?
Yeah.
When they
I
made the
think-
announcement. Yeah.
If it's not his son playing drums, who's it going to be?
Right. Sure.
Because we saw it. The kid can do it.
Oh,
Right.
it was awesome.
Yeah. Right.
What were you going to say about Bret and Sinistro?
Well, I was just giving like a little bit of homage because you've done that with Kicks. With, like listening to you talk right now. You just did that with Kicks and their impact here, not only in Northern Virginia area, but wider. And then of course you brought up Bret.
Right.
But to me, like if being from with Bret being Pennsylvania, I think if he has a second home, it's here in Manassas. Probably because I don't know if it's because of your work with him over all of the years, but like to me, the love that poured out that night.
I was crazy. Right?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just,
It's funny. Me and him were talking about this just yesterday. As a matter of fact, he has a lot of things on his plate about buying some property and doing some different things, and he always references back to again, I've been his guitar player for 20 years now.
Yeah.
It's 20 years.
Wow.
And can you believe that much time has gone by?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Flies.
Yeah.
And he always refers, and it gives me chills when I talk about it, about my friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, anytime I'm in Manassas, it just the unity you guys have and the bonds and the friendship. He sees it. He brings it up. He talks about how that's so unique and how special all of us are. He recognizes that.
Sure.
And we're talking about a guy that owned a bar with Pamela Anderson. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
What has this guy not done?
Right.
You know, and he, without, that night at Sinistral, to be honest with you guys, we were driving home from Florida. And we were coming to my place to work on our new single that comes out in January, the new Bret Michaels single. And I told him, I said, we can go back to my place and work on the music, but I have this gig at Sinistral I've got to do this night. And he goes, all right, well, I'll just stay at your place until, which is always, again, the guy's turned into my best friend.
Sure.
He's my best friend. But sometimes when I go into my guest room to wake him up, I'm like, I'm waking up Bret Michaels. And 16-year-old me freaks out. You go, but he was like, I'll just stay at your house while you do the gig. And we were driving up 95, and he goes, wow, maybe I'll just come to the gig. And then he goes, well, if I'm going to come, make a post, let people know I might come. And then it turned into, tell everyone to tell everyone.
Yeah.
And then
And they did.
Yeah. Yeah.
and it organically became this thing. But at the end of the day, I had this. He was just going to come watch.
Yeah.
He was going to hang out, and he was going to sing "Mama Don't Dance." That was the only thing he was going to do.
Yeah.
And we worked it all out. And he came in the back door, and he was supposed to go sit off to the left and just hang out. And he felt so welcomed by the community, by Blaine and everybody that he. I mean, we were supposed to quit at 11 o'clock that night. And I don't think any of us left till 12:30.
Sure.
And he stayed up on that stage with me and sang songs he's never sang in his life and partied. And he had a great time. The flip side of that is he got hammered. And the next morning we were shooting the video to the new song, and you can see it. When the video comes out in February, you'll see the hangover on his face.
Just say it added color.
It's a great video. I don't mean to keep talking, brother. I'm so sorry.
No. Because that's that side. I love hearing your side. I was on the opposite side. I was on, the brief, flurry of social media. That all that really kind of quasi-announced, his arrival out there.
Right.
And of course, that was exciting. That night
cool.
to see all of that fly around. That was, on that end of it.
Yeah.
So it's always great to hear the opposite end of that.
Yeah, but the cool part about it was that he enjoyed it.
Sure.
It wasn't just a celebrity appearance and him trying to make headlines.
Absolutely.
He was coming to support his buddy and just hang out. And he ended up having such a good time that it organically made national news. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, yeah.
It made it all over
Absolutely,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. But the flip side of that is his fucking phone is ringing off the hook still. About, you went to see Pete play. Why don't you come to see my gig? It's it's not stopping.
So in talking about Bret, and obviously the Party Gras tour is kicking off this summer. So let's talk a little bit about that and what to expect.
The Party Gras, right? So this has been Bret's idea for 10 years. And it's still not exactly his vision because we're partnered with Live Nation to do this. And we're doing, this is the first time as the Bret Michaels band that we're headlining the Sheds. And the Sheds, if you don't know, the Sheds is a term for Jiffy Lube style amphitheaters. Those are called the Sheds.
Sure.
And we're starting with 12 of them. Unfortunately, Jiffy Lube's not one of them. But we're doing Charlotte, Detroit. We're doing 12 of them to start with. Closest ones are Charlotte and Camden, which is Philadelphia, which is really only a 90-minute drive. Mm-hmm. But Bret has always had this vision of a nonstop concert where there's one band that plays for basically a house band that plays for 3.5 hours, and that the singers come and go in the middle of it, so that it's nonstop, but it's also all hits. So, and this is a difference, Bret likes to only play hits. He thinks that the fans pay that money to hear the hits. So where John Bon Jovi will often play some obscure songs, and fans like that too. If John, for one reason, one night doesn't play Runaway, there's a bunch of bad press. Why didn't John play Runaway? I played all this money. And Bret feels the opposite. At all costs, play the hits. So he's had this idea of 3.5 hours worth of nonstop hit music. And we're meeting in the middle here because we're going to do 2 hours. And in the middle of our set, he's both of these guys are incredible friends of mine, like true friends of mine and Bret's, is Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, we're gonna play like 3 songs, and then he's gonna come out. Bret's just gonna hand him the mic, and we're gonna do 3 or 4 Sugar Ray songs, and then Bret's gonna come back out. We're gonna play 3 more of our songs, and then Steve Ajari, former singer of Journey, is gonna come out and play 3 or 4 Journey songs.
Excellent.
And then we're gonna come back out and play some more songs, and then every night in every town, there's going to be a surprise guest that is famous from that town, if that makes sense.
Sure,
So,
sure. Yeah,
so, like, if we're in Atlanta, it's probably going to be Zach Brown. You know, if we're in Detroit, it may be Kid Rock, it may be Bob Seger, but the idea is nonstop hit music.
Excellent.
Right? But we had to meet in the middle with Live Nation. Live Nation wanted opening acts. So we have Jefferson Starship, which sounds weird at first, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But when Bret was talking about he wants the entire thing to feel good, always feel good, always lighthearted, always party. And when you think about, you know,
Built the city.
yeah, you built the city, Sarah, and then you have songs like "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now." You know, to be completely honest with you, without making Bret sound like a dictator, he's picked the set list for these bands
Sure.
because it has to represent Party Gras. Because Bret's idea of Party Gras is that this becomes an event where he doesn't even have to come to. It, very much like Lollapalooza with Perry Farrell,
Right.
where maybe next year he's not even there, but it's Party Gras by Bret Michaels.
Right.
And so, and the Night Ranger set, I mean, Night Ranger,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Love 'em.
Yeah.
Another one, another act that's just
it never stops.
Yeah, yeah.
Night Ranger opens up for us so much, and I stand there and watch it, and it's like, oh yeah, that song.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that song.
Yep.
And it's an hour of hit after hit after hit, and that was Bret's goal. Is this Party Gras is from the minute you sit down to the minute you leave, you knew every song, you loved every song, and every song was a memory of your childhood.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
Well, and that's why they were so great on the stadium tour, because their set was all their hits.
Smashed.
They killed it.
Right.
Whereas I know we've talked about it, you know, huge Def Leppard fans.
Huge Def Leppard fan.
But the set list was not great.
They
And
opened up the night I saw them here. Where was that at? In D.C. I went and saw it.
Nats Park.
And if I remember correctly, they opened up with 3 or 4 brand new songs.
Yes.
And the song's great. I like that record.
Yes.
But this whole tour was supposed to be about nostalgia.
Yeah.
So there are parents bringing their kids to see what they grew up on.
Yes.
And those kids barely know Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Right.
And all of a sudden they're hearing 20 minutes of stuff they've never heard of. Yeah. It was a strange move for Def Leppard.
Yeah.
I thought.
I agree.
It even made sports talk radio. Everybody's talking about how bad the Def Leppard set was.
Yeah.
Right. But nothing, I mean, Def Leppard will still give kudos because they're legends and they're pros and they sounded good. There were, in a lot of ways, and again, because I work for Bret and I'm full-time part of the machine, I watched the press every day from day one to day end across the country. And Def Leppard got ignored a lot because of A, how great Poison was,
I was about to say that.
and B, how bad fucking Motley Crue was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of
I heard
times,
that too.
you know, so a lot of times Def Leppard just being great, because they are great. They're great, and they sound great, and they play great, and they're wonderful guys. But they essentially got ignored by the press because, I mean, did you see the Motley Crue reviews?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they got killed.
To me, also just getting back to Poison and being like, because Kevin's talking about our experience kind of being down there. We were down in the pit of it, and Poison just lit it up. I mean, it was a tough act to follow.
It was.
And I mean, they really lit that they're set up. It was like
It was.
It was a party. It was a Poison party.
Well, you know the interesting thing, and I'm not trying to make this all about Bret, but again, in our solo band, we're unique because Poison plays 30 dates every 2 or 3 years, and they're handpicked dates in sheds or arenas, very consistent where you're going to see Poison. However, Bret Michaels, you may see us here
Right.
at the Salisbury Center, and you may see us at Nats Park. We play a gamut of different things.
Sure.
You know, like I said, the biggest gig I've ever played in my life, 125,000 people underneath the arch on the 4th of July in St. Louis. It was us and Toby Keith. I mean, 125,000 people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But again, you may see us here at the Salisbury Center.
Yeah.
And that's because Bret, like Bruce Springsteen, just loves to play.
Yeah.
He just loves to fucking play.
Yeah.
And my point to that is, actually, I may have forgotten my point. Where was I?
Well, you were talking about Motley before that.
No, my point to that was when you talked about the Poison owning the show. So, Bret has a private plane. He has multiple houses. Me and him last week were in Malibu looking at another house he was going to buy for $6 million in Malibu. He doesn't. I can't express to you, because he's a diabetic, he had to watch his health, and he didn't put all that money up his nose like everybody else, right?
Right.
So the amount of fucking money the guy has is fucking ridiculous. He owns that plane. He doesn't lease it. He owns the fucking plane. But he gets up every night and acts like he's poor.
Right.
And he takes on that crowd like he doesn't already own them. It blows my mind. It's not a lack of confidence, but it's a remember where you come from. It doesn't matter if we're playing in front of 500 people or 100,000 people. He treats it the same. And he'll say to me sometimes when we're writing a new song or something, he'll say something like, he goes, man, we got to make this great so we can make it. I said, what are you fucking talking about? You're a legend. You fucking made it. But I swear on my fucking balls, he's the same guy that was poor living in the warehouse in L.A. trying to make it. And he treats every day like that.
Right.
Every night when he went on that stadium tour, he didn't go out thinking, I'm the greatest guy in the world. He went out and goes, there's 80,000 people out there. They all hate me, and I have 30 minutes to make them love me. And that's how he treats every fucking day. It's an inspiration like you've never seen. Yeah.
I'll tell you, because you just talked up Bret on that stadium tour. I'm sticking in the stadium tour, so I'm sorry if I'm deviating over here, Kevin.
No.
Another one who I thought really lit up really well was CeCe.
Oh, he owned it. He owned
He
it.
did. He played fantastic.
Yeah. It's funny. I wasn't going to go to any of the shows. The true story. I wasn't going to go to any of the shows only because of in the last 5 years, I've developed this incredible social anxiety. Like,
You.
oh, it's incredible. Like I can't, I even freak out at a drive-through ordering food.
Wow.
Because all I'm thinking is, I said something stupid and this guy thinks I'm an idiot. That's my life all day long, right? And so crowds and people freak me out. It's strange. So I wasn't going to go to the stadium tour, and literally at 10:30 in the morning, and Bret's at my fucking door here in Manassas. Are you really not going? I said, oh man, Bret, I don't want to go to DC. So I got in his bus and we went. He's like, just come on, let's go. We'll go to the back. Blah blah blah. I made every excuse. I was like, I don't want to park. I don't want this. I don't want that. Come on, let's just go.
I've heard these excuses before.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And why am I telling you this? I just dropped my subject again.
CeCe. We're going to get back to CeCe.
Oh yeah. So the tour had happened for a couple of weeks before it got to DC. So all the word was out about the Van Halen thing that CeCe was doing. And CeCe's been nothing but great to me my whole life. My whole life. There's no I'm in the other band with him. There's no I'm the other woman, so to speak.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And he knows my love for Van Halen and his love for Van Halen, even though maybe it's not ever been made in the press. He lives and breathes Edward more than anyone.
Sure.
And Cece came up to me behind the stage. He grabbed my shoulders and he goes, if you know Cece's voice, he says, "Is it good?" I said, "What are you talking about?" "I know you know. You've been watching the videos. Am I doing it okay?" I said, "Are you asking me?" He goes, "You're as big a Van Halen fan as I am. I know you'll tell me the truth. Is it good?" I said, "It's great, Cece." He goes, "Am I playing it okay?" I said, "Cece, you're playing it fucking great. You're making headlines every night.
Yeah.
Every night someone's talking about your Van Halen tribute.
Yeah.
You're playing it great. All right. It's good though. You like it, right?" I said, I love it, buddy. I love you. I love it. But my point to that is much like Bret, he wasn't arrogant about it. He was going out there
Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He wanted to impress the people, but not impress them like, oh, look at me. That was a lot of money those people spent on those tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I remember both Bret and Cece wanted to make it worth that money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure the Motley Crue guys cared about that.
Yeah.
You know, Vince is my friend and he does everything he can, but Tommy acted like a douche that whole fucking tour.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Literally not
Surprise.
playing
Right.
first couple of weeks.
Right.
You know, it's and the fans saw it. There was no tracks. There was no sequencing. There was no sampling.
Right.
Joan Jett and Poison played real live music
Yes.
to those crowds
Yes.
in the daylight.
Yes.
No pyro.
Yes.
No, none of that.
Yes.
And it was so real that it struck a nerve with all of us, every one of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit. You know, coming up, your band Evick is going to be here at the Salisbury Center.
Right there, right down there.
Right down there.
Yeah.
The New Year's after New Year's party. So second time you will have done this here. I think it's the 13th time you've done this event.
13th annual, should be 14th, but COVID. And second year here. I don't want to take away from, I used to do it at Hard Times over on the other side of town. And that was our home. Randy's my buddy, and it was great. Then we started to do it at the mall. What was that place called? Uptown Alley.
Yes. Uptown Alley. Yes. Yeah.
And as grateful as I try to be, I freaked out. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story, but the first year we did it at Uptown Alley, I got hammered drunk, and I could not deal with the fact that I was playing on a stage at the Heck Company.
X. Yep. Yeah.
It made me crazy.
Yeah.
Like the whole night I was playing, I kept looking and going, "Oh, that's right there is where I used to buy concert tickets."
Right.
And I got real drunk, and at the end of the night, I went down to the bowling alley after the show, and I grabbed the bowling ball and I rolled it all the way down the mall. and I had a great time. We had a sold out show. It was packed. People come from all over. It was great. But my brain, it messed me up.
Yeah.
I was like, I've done all these things.
Yeah.
And now I'm playing at the mall.
Yeah.
Right there's where my mom used to buy me my school clothes.
Right.
And it was
Yeah. Yeah.
and they had a sound ordinance and sound ordinance. You hear me, Scotty?
Bad topic.
And
Touchy subject.
it didn't let me feel. I didn't feel very rock and roll.
Yeah.
But there was nowhere else to do it at that time. Hard time to close. And then the next year I did it there again.
Yeah.
And I kept my cool. And I didn't, but they don't want you to drink on stage. The whole existence of Evick is the party,
Uh-huh.
and they had so many rules.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then I went and did it where at the next year after that I did it at Eclipse, which Eclipse is great. It was a neat little stage and it felt good and it was super packed in there, but wasn't a pro venue. Like there's no dressing room.
Right.
And there's only one door in that place.
Right.
So when you walk in the place, you're walking through every single body to get to that stage. And I'm fine with that. I mean, literally, I've spent the entire summer doing these acoustic gigs, but it wasn't perfect.
Right. Right.
And then Jeff opens this fucking place.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the TV. There you are.
There it is. There it is right there.
Awesome.
And what can you say about this place? It's we've needed this for a long fucking time.
I sell up this place as the best local venue that I go to, and we go to a lot.
Right.
I love this as a concert goer primarily.
Right.
You know, I just love stepping into this venue.
I told Jeff the reason I'm hammered here talking to you guys is because at noon I had lunch with Patrick Small, who is the developer of he's the economic development guy, and I spent the entire lunch telling him that the city has to sink their teeth into this because it's special.
It is.
It is special, and. So
shucks, guys.
all because of your brother Chris.
Of course.
And you know, I got to give. I'll give.
That's edited out for sure.
I got to give Evick a little bit of the props because I feel like the floor has expanded because it was packed last year when you guys played
At the annual show. We had a good night.
it was packed.
We had a good night. And now he opens up the floor, and now I have to draw twice as many.
We did that on purpose. You better get to work.
Well, that's great. This is why we're doing things like this, right? You know?
So Jeff brings me into this place, man, and it's not built yet. If you remember, the first time you showed it to me, but you just see
He was less than impressed.
but you could see what it could be. Yeah. And look at it now, man. Look at that window. Yeah. I mean, it's a concert hall. Yeah. We have a concert hall in Manassas.
Absolutely.
Like Kix can play here.
Absolutely.
Bret Michaels can play here.
Yeah.
Warrant can play here. Firehouse can play here. Sugar Ray can play here. Easily. The Goo Goo Dolls could play here. I could name a million bands that I work with all the time. Every one of them could play here now.
Sure.
You know?
Yep.
And so kudos to Jeff, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we're going to do our 13th annual gig here on January 14th. And this year, I took a chance because of your venue, Jeff.
Thank you.
I want you to know, because of your venue, every year that I've done my annual gig, people from all over the country ask me to open here. I get friends from all my bands all over the country asked to open, but I've never wanted to bring them to, again, I love Hard Times. I loved it. But it's not the place you bring an opening traveling band, right? And I have this friend, close friend. His name's Danny Stanton. He's Twisted Sisters manager. He manages Bonnie Tyler. Turn around every now and then, right? And he manages all these bands, and he manages this band called Adam and the Metalhawks. And Adam was on American Idol, and he got way up. He almost won. And he's an internet sensation if you look him up. Sure. Millions and millions of views. He did a thing with Jack Black, and it's on the internet. He's done things with Dee Snider. And when he sings, he'll make you cry. It'll make you fucking cry, buddy. And Danny asked me if Adam could play with us this year. And I said yes. And the reason I said yes was because of this venue.
Right.
If it was any of those other venues, the answer would have been no.
Right.
Because Adam sees me as a rock star. He sees me as Brett's guitar player. So I don't want to bring him to a bar. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And so I'm bringing to Manassas this year this fucking dude from American Idol.
Yeah.
Right?
Excellent.
And I would not have done that if it wasn't for what Jeff has done here at the Salisbury Center.
All right.
Fantastic.
And my partners.
Right. Yeah. And then the big news we were talking about. Well, first of all, the thing about the Evick gig, 13th annual, and I think we have a lot of locals that walk up and buy the tickets, but the pre-sale tickets are from what has become this phenomenon. I do this once a year, and they're out-of-town guests. So I have people come from Canada, Mexico, California, Texas, all over the United States. And I think, Jeff, if I'm right, we're somewhere in 150 pre-sale tickets.
We've passed that now.
All those tickets are out-of-towners.
Excellent.
And that's what's special about this is instead of me traveling all over the country, it's very similar to same. This is so arrogant.
VIP was sold out in 8 days.
This is so fucking arrogant to say this, to compare myself to Sammy Hagar, but it's my little version of Sammy's birthday bash.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was the model that this became.
Sure.
And so we have people from all over the country, and I'm much like us all, we're proud Manassas flag wearers, right?
Right.
We wave that fucking flag.
Right.
So I bring these people in, they buy hotel rooms, and they eat at the restaurants, and they go over and they spend the entire weekend seeing our town, right? Sure. And I'm talking, I said, I probably have 15 people from Canada coming this year. I think I have 6 people from Mexico. All over the country come, and they come here, and all of them came last year during COVID, and every one of them, I don't speak to every one of them, but almost every one of them said, please do it here again.
Sure.
So that's the impact of how cool the Salisbury Center is. And so it's a very special event to bring all those people here to Manassas. And Adam and the Middlehawks I mentioned, but the important thing you guys brought up is it's the debut.
R.I.P. that long-ass fucking time ago in a town called Kickapoo.
Is this them? with Jack Black?
Oh, the Jack Black. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a black sheep and he knew this was
Watch Jack.
His name was Young JB and he refused to step in line. A vision he did see it fucking rocking all the time. He wrote a tasty jam and all the planets did align.
I mean, to get Jack Black's endorsement, and that guy's going to be here. It's going to be great.
Excellent.
But we have the debut performance of my son, Gavin Evick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and you know, I brought up the story. So, you know, Jeff and I were at M3 two springs ago, and you know, we saw these kids a couple rows in front of us, and we were just impressed. You know, it's like, oh, great, here we are, 50-something-year-olds. We're watching these bands that we grew up listening to, watching.
I'm going to make
live.
it. I'm going to make it a little more personal. So Kevin and I are there, and this is also coming out of COVID. Nobody was showing up to M3. It was pretty empty, and it was kind of like, I feel like then it's like the reemergence of live music again. It was like it was great. It was fun, and there we saw this kid and these kids down from us, and there was, you know, some lighter brown hair, straight haired kid with a kid that had black hair. You know, full, thick black hair, like they're having like the damn time of their lives. They are like partying upon partying. And I just looked down at Kevin. I was like, Kevin, that was us. I'm not going to say it, like blah, blah, blah years ago.
A long time ago.
And then, like that kind of became it. We became nostalgic.
That's
like,
right.
Like
That's
watching these kids like roll, like having like the time of their lives.
Yeah.
They knew all the lyrics, you know.
Every
it's
word.
Like, it
Yeah,
was,
uh-huh,
it was
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then a week later, we're at another venue where Faster Pussycat's playing.
Right.
And we realize that's your son.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I had no idea. And I'm like, Kevin, we saw you. You were there too.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I was like, those are the kids that were at the M3 show.
Right.
And then you were like, why are you pointing at my son, Gavin?
You know, interestingly enough about Gavin is I did everything I could to not lead him on this path.
Really?
I mean, I know the heartaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know the struggle, and I did everything I could to not lead him on the path. And but he means it.
Yeah.
He's not faking it. And I didn't introduce him to any of the music. When he came to me about it, I mean, don't get me wrong, he would come out on tour with us, and everyone has always been really nice to him. I always remember when Rat would open up for us, I would put him on my shoulders and stand on the side of the stage, and Stephen Piercy would come up and give him a fist pump. And the guys in Leonard Skinner were always just so kind to him. So he was introduced to this world. But somewhere along the line, he got bit by the bug, and he started talking to me about music. And I said, I'm not going to tell you anything. You go find it for yourself. Yeah. And then he'd come to me, do you like this band Tough? I said, doesn't matter if I like it. Do you like them?
Yeah.
You know, do you like Roxy Blue?
Right.
He went that,
Wow.
he dove down. He found every bit of it. You know what I mean? And he likes what he likes. And he came to me and he said, I want to create 80s sounding music for my generation. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys have listened to or heard the single or not.
I have, yes.
And, you know, me and him had several talks, and I'm grateful because I hooked him up with 6 months worth of lessons with Tony Harnell.
Oh, there we go. Like Kevin's got some homage there.
Right. Yeah. So he studied with Tony for 6 months. Robert Mason, who's the current singer of Warrant, has spent an enormous amount of time with him. And Tom Kiefer has spent an enormous amount of time working with him and talking to him. And Bret often more talks about the business music, not his voice. Bret's more going to tell you how to make $1 million, not how to sing good. You know?
That's a wide range of styles too.
Yeah.
You know,
That gives him an opportunity to develop his voice the way that he wants it, and not just
well,
following his
he
instructor.
wants to do like Tom Kiefer. He wants that voice.
Wow.
But that's hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But Tom has spent hours with him, telling him what not to. And so once he decided to take this path, I'm grateful I was able to provide him with an education that nobody else has.
Yeah.
All of my work paid off for him. It's very much a Star Wars thing. You guys know I'm a Star Wars fan,
Of course,
right?
yeah.
I have succumbed to the fact that I'm Anakin. I am not the chosen one. I was here to create the chosen one. But I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? And he means it. He means it.
Yeah,
And in that first song, we had a lot of conversations with several people about all these bands, even as far back as Buck Cherry, because the 80s metal scene was dead when Buck Cherry came out.
Yep.
But there's always a hint of a band that comes out
Sure.
that, oh, this might be take us back.
Right.
But you know what none of them do? What was the 80s really about? Every Rose, Heaven, Don't Close Your Eyes. What were the hits that really, Home Sweet Home, the power ballad? None of these bands ever come on with a power ballad.
Right.
So I said, Gavin, let's try this. Start with the fucking power ballad. It's timeless, you know? And we did. And the reception to the song was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know? And let's just hope. Let's just hope. My problem with Gavin is that he doesn't want to do social media.
Oh, huh.
And you have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, it seemed, obviously that's the big thing that's changed, right? I mean,
Right.
It used to be if you were a musician, you wanted to try and get a record deal because you had the money, the marketing, everything behind you.
Right.
Now, studios can be put into your house. You can make it sound just as nice as some of the finest studios.
To your comment, me and Bret have made 4 solo records in the last 20 years. All 4 of them have been in the Billboard Top 20. One of them made it all the way up to I think number 7 on Billboard, not Hard Rock. And every single one of those records were made in my laptop. We've never been into a studio. Wow. We've done. I've mixed them all in my house or his bus. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and my background after school was on the. It's funny being in front of the camera now. I was always the guy in the booth behind the board and doing that type of production work, and so that's changed.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
But the big thing is the social media component, like you said, you can market yourself and you can hit so many more people than you used to. So that is certainly something that.
Yeah, I can't get him interested. He did TikTok for a while. He has like 200,000 followers on TikTok, but then he realized that he was spending more time trying to be funny, and that's not what he wants to be.
Sure.
So that might be the snag we hit with him, is that he doesn't want to do what's required of him today. Much like in the 80s, we all had to put the makeup on, right?
Right.
Whether we wanted to or not.
Right.
No, not one of us ever really wanted to put that eyeliner on.
Jeff did.
I didn't mind it so much.
But you know what I'm saying,
I
right?
do. I absolutely know what
There
you're
is no way on Theater of Pain Vince Neil wanted to
Right.
put them fucking
pink
panties on.
Yeah.
I know he did, and I've talked to him about it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you do what you have to do.
Absolutely.
And social media is the equivalent of that eyeliner right now.
Right.
And Gavin, he doesn't want to do it. He thinks he's sticking to his guns and gonna let the music shine. And let's see.
Yeah.
But he means it. He means it.
Pete, look at that banner that we did of pictures of Jeff from back then.
Are
Tell
all
me he
those
didn't
Jeff?
a lot of them are Jeff. It's us, like from back in the day all the way till now.
Yeah, I can't see much of that very well. I see Jeff's eyes in a bunch of them. Yeah.
Eyeliner.
Yeah.
It's the eyeliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell me Jeff didn't enjoy putting makeup on.
Well,
like a pretty little girl.
I mean, for the most part, and I understood it back then, and you do it because it's what's part of the pop culture, right?
Right.
But at the heart of all of us, I don't think any of us wanted to walk up from our basement bathroom and our dad see us with that eyeliner, but we did. You know what I mean? I remember the first time I did a photo shoot in spandex pants, and even much like the guys in Pantera, I've never been super skinny. So the spandex pants, my belly's fat as fuck, but my legs are full muscle and always have been. And even at 18, the spandex just didn't look right on me.
Right.
And I remember my dad, who was as supportive as could be about all of this, my dad was like, son, you just don't look right in those things. I remember, and I still see the picture to this day. I picture of me in the spandex pants, and I understood I look more like a wrestler.
Yeah,
Than,
yeah.
Much like the Pantera guys, same thing. My build's just not that.
Yeah.
And but Yeah. So Gavin, the song's great. I believe the song's great.
Yeah.
And it's from his heart. And let's just hope he finds an audience.
Absolutely. But I'm right. I heard the song. I love the song. And, I think we're three fathers sitting here. So
Yeah.
you have the proud papa perspective also. I mean, that's got to feel great.
Yeah. No, the best reward was his youngest brother. Because his brother is so unconcerned. He doesn't give one shit about me. He doesn't give one shit about Gavin. He doesn't give one shit about rock and roll. He's a wrestler, and he's into hip modern stuff, and he just doesn't fucking care. And when the song came out, he called me, and he goes, "I can't believe it." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, it's like real." I said, "What's real?" "It's like a real song." I said, "Yeah, it's a real song. What about it?" "Well, I mean, it doesn't seem right. It's," and all of a sudden his brother went from not giving a shit to being his biggest fan. And I thought that was pretty powerful.
Sure.
Yeah. It's interesting. We all went through it.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. I'm excited for the.
We got something for you, Pete.
I got wish I
Is this
started
it?
quickly. He brought is, a lot of people kind of.
Oh, this might be the interview.
It's a big interview. We're going to play Gavin's song for you.
You're going to play it?
Yeah, Scott was trying to find it. He thought that's what it was. But it was actually an interview, unless this is it.
Is that the video? There it is.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like that's a cross between like Warrant and Trickster.
So I got to tell you.
I love it.
I got to tell you. And by the way, am I talking too fucking much?
No way.
Not at all.
No.
All right. When we first started working in the studio, he is such a Warrant fan that was what was important to him. He wanted that to sound like Warrant and Firehouse. He wanted to have Poison, Warrant, Firehouse, and Skid Row elements in that song. And obviously, but if you don't know, I mean, if you know me and follow my career, it's me playing guitar on that.
Yeah.
But
I can tell the riffs in the background.
but the kid playing guitar is his guitar player in the video. But interestingly enough, the bass player is the bass player in Adam and the Metal Hawks.
Oh, okay.
The drummer used to be in Adam and the Metal Hawks.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the correlation between what's happening here
Sure.
at the show or whatever. I appreciate you playing that, buddy. And Scotty, I got to tell you, man, it's funny, man. I'm a 50-year-old man, and I have this jaded anger. Like, I don't like young dudes getting in my shit. But every time I work with you, you're a fucking pro, buddy.
Oh, I appreciate it. We all do here.
Like, I wish I could take you out with us.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. You're
Easy
world.
now.
You're world.
Yeah, if you sign me, I'll leave him.
Like literally, you're world class.
Wow.
Everything you're doing here, buddy, I love it.
Thank you.
I love
man.
it.
I can't wait for your show. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
You got to
witnesses
take me
to
on
that.
the road to tell him what to do, too, though.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Gavin's going to perform this song.
Yeah, he's
for you
gonna
guys
do.
that night.
He's gonna do 5 songs,
Excellent.
four covers in that song,
right.
and I don't mean to spill it, but he's opening with "Shout at the Devil," and then he's doing "For Whom the Bell Tolls,"
Nice.
"Cat Dragged In," "Youth Gone Wild," and his song.
Fantastic.
So I mean, he's carrying the
Good
torch.
stuff,
He's
yeah.
carrying the torch. He's trying,
That's awesome.
and he means. And come on, feel the noise.
Okay.
Which pisses me off because again, I studied for 9 months on Broadway to learn to sing with this guy Don Lawrence, who taught Tony Harnell and taught Bon Jovi and Dee Snider, he was the ultimate vocal coach. When I used to take vocal lessons on Broadway, I took lessons in between Christina Aguilera and Ali Sheedy. So this guy taught the fucking pros.
Yeah.
And I can't sing "Come On Feel the Fucking Noise." I can't do it.
I'm right.
Not many people can.
Right.
You know, I do mental health, and that's my fucking my proudest moment. Because
Right.
DeBro was a great voice to me.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's my proudest moment is doing mental health. And I don't know if you see on the internet, there's a video of Gavin getting up with me last summer at a club in Colonial Beach and singing mental health.
Okay.
And he nails it. He nails it. And he knows. And so it's him doing "Come On Feel the Noise" is a fuck you to me. Because he knows I can't do it. And you know how it goes as far as tuning. His whole band is in 440.
Yeah.
So he's singing "Shout at the Devil" an entire step up from the recording. And he's singing all these songs. And, you know.
I do know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So good for him, man. And you know, are you going to be here? Or are you going to?
Oh, I'm going to be here.
Are you going to be
Yeah.
here?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm not
you
missing
know,
it. Yep.
I think we'll all, for Manassas, we'll be proud.
Of course.
Right?
Maybe we can get them to
course.
do an interview show for the guys, Adam and those guys that day.
They'll do it because they're coming in the night before.
Yeah.
Because we're doing an acoustic set at Heritage.
Yeah.
So if you want to have them in,
yeah.
they'll do anything like that.
Yeah.
And they're great. That would be great.
Yeah. Love to
Yeah.
sit down and talk with those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy has a lot of
Gavin.
stories to tell.
And Gavin.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody should come here.
Yep.
In fact, when I get off the phone, you can't imagine the people I'm about to call to tell them how. I mean, this is great, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's
Appreciate
fucking
it.
great.
We're trying to think of everything here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you know, this is great. Old Town Manassas, from the way it was back in the day,
It's different.
is different and growing and getting better. And
Yeah.
There's a fantastic candle shop down there.
absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, strange, right? Candles, right? And coming. I just finished my second book, and it'll be out in a couple months. And I'm prematurely saying this, but I'm about to release my own brand of liquor made with the guys over at KO.
I
Yes.
thought I saw a little bit about
Those
that.
guys are good.
Yeah.
KO's
Yeah.
good.
I thought I saw a little. Yeah.
I figure if Gene Simmons and Dee Snider, who have never drank in their life, are selling alcohol,
Sure.
then I carry that torch. That's all I do is drink. That why shouldn't I?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You can be truthful about how good it is because you're sampling it.
Oh yeah, and it's from Manassas. Everything I do from my point on, you know, I have a new song that's not come out yet. Can I tell you about this?
Of course.
I have a new song, and the opening lyric is, "I grew up in one of those towns that Mellencamp sings about. I hated it then." Oh, wait, I screwed up. I grew up in one of those towns that Mellencamp sings about. I love it now, but spent a lot of time just trying to get out.
Uh-huh.
And the whole point is looking back and realizing how much I love Manassas.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what the whole song's about,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And after seeing the fucking world, and I mean it, after seeing the world, again, I played in Saddam Hussein's palace. Man.
Sure.
I'm not Bret. I'm just a hired guitar player, but I was there.
Right.
I played in the fucking Playboy Mansion.
Right.
And we have something special here.
Sure. Sure.
We do. And I play all these towns. I've been all over 20 years. I've been doing this. And the more I leave, the more I want to come home. I always talk about when I first joined Bret's band, getting on that airplane was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now getting on the airplane to come home is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And we're all grown up. We're all still friends. Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff, you were the first singer in my fucking band.
Yeah.
Many,
Right?
many years ago.
How many years? Are you going to say it, or are you one of those guys hiding your age?
No, it's 32 years ago.
32, 34 years ago.
something like that.
Jeff, how long ago did we play in the fucking talent show?
I know it would have been, well, I guess
About
a little
the
bit
same.
beyond that. I was going to say 34, 35 there.
34 years ago.
Yeah.
We've known each other for fucking ever, right?
Right.
And here we are, still friends and still stuff to talk about. That doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
We have
Of
something.
course.
We have something special.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Binky, is he alive today? Did he live?
Yeah. Right, yeah.
You know, or Tom Bolton, or any of those guys. Ray Madonna.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have a
Talked to Ray
community
the
of
other day.
people that we're all still friends. It's special what we have. I think. I think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's easy. The music bonded us, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's all because of the music. Every bit of it.
Right.
Every bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are we looking for time? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, we're at 120.
Okay. So, all right. So we have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question. It's a little bit personal, like for
Okay.
me. It's
Yeah, yeah.
because you're bringing up stuff that you were talking about. Because I know you originally
Right.
as a guitarist, as an instrumentalist.
Yes.
But you were bringing up your vocal lessons, your vocal progression. So as you were like bringing up all of that, like tell me a little bit about that, because I am personally curious, like how.
Why I became a singer?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's so interesting that you say that, because there's a whole generation of people that know me as a guitar player.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole generation of people that know me as a singer. And then not generation, but a whole different timelines. There's the guitar player Pete, and then there was the singer Pete. And then when I went to join Bret's band, I was the guitar player again. And all those guys went back and discovered that, oh, I'm also a singer.
Right.
So there's 4 different blocks of this. The truth of the matter is, in 1998, I was signed to Soul 3 Records with my band Some Odd Reason, a singer named Ryan Ginhart. And we went on tour, and we played with Fuel, we played with Goo Goo Dolls, and we had 2 singles. We had a song called Spin, and we had a song called All I Ever Nothing, or All or Nothing. And it was produced by a guy named Richard Goddard. And Richard is the guy that, if you do the research, he wrote the song My Boyfriend's Back and You're Gonna Be in Trouble.
Yep.
He wrote the song I Want Candy. And he was founder of Sire Records and produced Blondie and the Go-Go's. And the reason I met him is there was a female-fronted rock band in the area called Scrub. And they were signed, and he was producing them because he was basically a female. All his track record was female artists.
Sure.
And there was a band called Scrub from the area with a female artist named Petra Brown. And Petra was the singer of this band, and they would do their demos at my studio, Clear Sound.
She was
And-
great too.
She was great.
Oh yeah,
She's
fantastic.
incredible. They lost their guitar player, but because I was their producer for their demos, I went to New York with them to record guitars. I hate that guy, by the way.
There we go.
No,
This is the Pete we're looking for.
I fucking hate that guy. Let me sidetrack. If you remember, about 10 years ago, me and Bret recorded a song, and Miley Cyrus sang on it, a song called Nothing to Lose.
Yes.
The week that came out, it was the #1 song to add it to radio. It beat Bon Jovi and Nickelback. And at that moment, it was the most amazing fucking moment of my life. Now, 2 weeks later, Bret had his brain hemorrhage, and everything fell apart. But
Right. That is right. That's like Rock of Love. With you and Chuck and Rock of
We
Love,
don't
since you're
wanna-
bringing up that name. And then that role, you had that role then on that show
yes,
too.
that was our thing. Yeah. So what was your fucking question?
It was about you, your vocalist, like how you
yeah.
kind of moved into becoming a vocalist.
So we were out touring with Some Odd Reason. We made that record with Richard Goddard, and the singer Ryan decided he didn't want to do this, and so then I replaced Ryan with Bart Harris.
Okay, yeah,
And who can sing like Bart?
right,
It's incredible.
right.
Great singer for sure.
I went to see him the other night, and I was reminded how incredible he is.
Sure.
The record label did not like our new direction. It wasn't, they didn't like Bart, but Bart, we became a heavier band. We were a pop band.
Gotcha.
We were like Matchbox 20.
Gotcha.
And when we got Bart, we became a heavier band. And I lost the support of the record label. And then I had a meeting with my lawyer and Richard Goddard, and they said, no second record unless you sing. I said, what the fuck do you mean? Like, because I can't sing. I can't sing. And they said, neither can Kurt Cobain. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Neither can Kurt Cobain, but he wrote those songs. So the passion
Yeah.
came through.
Sure.
And so they paid for me to go to Broadway for 9 months and learn to sing with this guy.
Wow.
Right? But it was the most heartbreaking time of my life because I had to break that band up.
Yeah.
Bart was my fucking brother.
Yeah.
There was no, hey, I hate you, get out of my band.
Sure.
There was just, I have to do this now.
Right.
Well, you introduced me to Bart. So yeah, Bart was my second band.
Yeah, right.
And you made the introduction for that.
Yeah. But it was heartbreaking
Right.
because I was Bart's biggest fan. I wanted that band.
Of course.
But I was, my first kid, I think, had already been born. And again, I didn't know anything to do. And I was sucked in by the fact that I had, my lawyer at the time was a guy named Ron Beanstalk, who was the Goo Goo Dolls lawyer, Billy Joel's lawyer. And I was enamored by anything they said I did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I took the vocal lessons and I started singing. And I just did it, and I became the singer. I'll never be the greatest singer in the world, but neither is Johnny Resnick.
Right.
Neither is Vince Neil.
Right.
And then I got the gig with Bret. And then all of a sudden I was a guitar player again.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So it goes back and forth. But at the end of the day, I'm a songwriter.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm half, maybe 3/4 the guitar player I was in high school. Because once you become a singer and a songwriter, you stop worrying about being like Yngwie Malmsteen. That's not the focus anymore.
Right.
Sometimes I go back and see things I used to do or listen to tapes I did in high school, and I'm like, I don't even know how to fucking do that anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So that's the story of me being the singer and the guitar player.
Excellent. Yeah, appreciate it.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
the question you asked.
Was it? Yeah, I was curious.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I got another one too.
Come on.
Because I'm thinking of like recent stuff with you because I've watched you over the years. You
I
know what
appreciate
kind of
that.
deal. So yeah. So and then Boys of Summer, because you talked about a lot of other artists and experiences. We've talked for a long time about some other things that are out there that you've done, but that's obviously to me near and dear to you. And
Boys of Summer.
Exactly. So like, you want to talk about that a little bit, just how you connected with that song and.
You know what's interesting? It's hard to explain. I've tried to. And it's funny you say that because I've gone back and read my Facebook posts and I go, that wasn't what I was trying to say at all. I've never been able to explain what that song makes me feel like. But do you agree it's a great song?
I think there's tons of songs that I do agree, first of all, that that's a great song, but I feel like I can pull that out too. Like songs that you connect to for unexplained reasons,
Right.
but then resonate forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe not you guys, but we didn't live in a beach town, but we were so close to Ocean City, right? So how many times did you guys ever go to Ocean City not in the season?
Yes.
Did you ever go up there?
Yes.
And that feeling,
Yes.
the roads were empty. The lyrics to that song play out in my memories because I lived them myself.
Sure.
And I loved it. Because my family lives in the Rehoboth Beach, Delaware area. And so I would go up there and there was just the video to Boys of Summer struck me emotionally. I can't explain it, but the pictures and the imagery reminded me of what Ocean City, Maryland was like to me as a child. And as I get older and older, the song just means more and more to me. It's just a special song. And so I decided to re-record it, which is stupid because why would a mediocre singer record a song from one of the greatest fucking singers of all fucking time? I don't know. But I never finished my John Shanks story, by the way. I didn't tell you why he's a fucking cocksucker.
Was that comment then shifted you back to him?
Yeah, because of being a great singer. Or whatever.
Yeah, I love it.
So that's what Boys of Summer meant
Yeah.
to me. It just reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I used to go up and down the boardwalk of Ocean City in the wintertime, and I love it. And so can I finish about John Shanks?
Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
So-
that was going to be my next question since like it was put that way.
So if you guys don't, he got mad that me and Bret went and basically grabbed Miley and said, hey, quit making your record, come make our record. And she came. Like he got mad at that. So a couple of years later, Van Halen's doing a Different Truth record. And I don't know if you have ever followed this, but for a while I was one of the main guys that was tuning vocals on records. I have a platinum award awarded to me for The Sound of Madness from, why can't I remember their name? They're great. What is the name of that band? Do you know the record, The Sound of Madness?
Don't.
You do.
I do.
They're one of the greatest bands of.
Scott, come on. You got all that magic back there.
Oh, it's embarrassing.
We're calling you out.
It's the same band that redid the Skynyrd song, was one of their first big hits. Shine Down. Shine Down.
Yeah. Like where was I on that?
Yeah. So I tuned their vocals on their live Shine Down record.
Oh.
And I was awarded a platinum record for tuning that. Now, on the record,
I did not know that.
on the record, I'm just labeled as Pro Tools engineer because back in the day you didn't admit that vocals were being, and that guy's an incredible singer.
Sure.
But he was sick when they did that record. And so I got the opportunity to tune that. And then there's a band called Paramore.
Oh, of course. No,
And I have a gold record for tuning the vocals on that record.
really?
And so I was becoming this guy tuning vocals. Now, as future happens, the software got better and anyone can do it now. So my expertise was not important.
When you mentioned Pantera and spandex, that brought up a story I wanted to go back to. So, so my son, we talked a little bit about him earlier in the show. He, for a while, he was interning with the Washington Capitals, and he was doing this gig It was in the summer. It was out at the Bowie Bay Sox Stadium, and I guess they had bands that were playing before the game. So he texts me. He's like, do you know who Terry Glaze is? I'm like, yeah, I know who he is. He's like, well, who is he? I'm like, well, he used to be the lead singer in this band called Lord Tracy. And I said,
You go deep, buddy.
I said, he's like, oh, he's like, and I said, but he was the original singer in Pantera.
Right.
And so I get this long message back. He's like, the guy could not believe, I guess, Terry's band was performing at this baseball game. And he couldn't believe that somebody actually knew him from his time in Lord Tracy. And I said, yeah. I said, he was the original guy. And Jake's like, oh, I'm going to have to look this up now because, he was a really nice guy and this and that. And I said, yeah, that was a long time ago. And, that Pantera was just starting out and they completely changed their look, their direction, everything. So, and I guess, now they're kind of back in the news with the tribute tour that's going on.
And with what Pete said about Phil.
Well, that's why I was opening up that door if he wants to take a little heat off for the Bon Jovi stuff.
I'm slowly becoming me and Stevie Rochelle, the guy that runs Metal Sludge. We were joking about this the other day. I'm slowly becoming Kevin DeBro. The guy that just
lets it fly.
Yeah, lets it fly.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be that way because for the most part I love everybody.
Yeah.
There's a handful. And the truth of the matter is I don't know Phil. I never met Phil. But I knew Vinny. Mm-hmm. And I didn't just meet Vinny, I knew Vinny. Vinny, if Bret played in Vegas or Texas, Vinny came. No question about it. And he would stand in my Guitar World. I must have 35 pictures on my phone. And he'd stand in my Guitar World, and every time I went to tune my guitar, he'd be standing there with a bottle of Jack. And we would drink, and we would talk, and we would hang out. Not just me, everybody, but we were friends. So Vinny, I never met Dime. I never got to meet Dime, but Dime is the only guy other than Edward Van Halen that ever made me go, I don't know how to play the guitar. This is something brand new. You know what I mean? I love Steve Vai. Steve Vai is my favorite living guitar player now. I've always had this love-hate, not love-hate, but I carry the Van Halen flag till the end, but secretly I might love Vai just as much, but I never say it.
Right.
But now that Edward passed, I can finally say Steve's my favorite living guitar player. Yeah. Right? But I always knew what he was doing.
Right.
There was nothing that ever made me go, I have no idea how to do that. Dime did that. Dime, I don't know how to play the guitar because I can't make that sound. So I loved those two. In fact, my first year in Bret's band, 100% true story, we played the All Rosa 1 year to the day that Dime got shot in that venue. So 1 year to that day, I stood in the very spot he got shot and played our gig. Wow. And there was still blood on the carpet and stuff like that. Right? Wow. I don't know why those guys didn't. That was really weird. Yeah. But just from what someone told me, if you tell me that Salisbury's a dick, then you're my buddy, and Jeff must be a dick. Yeah. And so with the things that Vinny told me, I made an opinion. Was I right? I've never met him. He may be the nicest guy in the world. I don't see that.
Right.
I've never seen one shred of evidence that made me say, well, maybe he's not that guy, because it looks like he is.
Right.
So I really spoke out of turn, and those Pantera fans got mad.
That's an understatement.
But you know what? Then it goes back to the KISS press. All press is good press, because there's 10,000 Pantera fans that didn't know who I fucking was till last week, and now every single one of them knows who I am. You know what I mean? But
Kevin is a rabid Pantera guy.
How can you not be?
Yes.
And are you a Phil fan? As a person,
I don't know him as a person,
right?
I mean,
but you've seen videos.
I mean, I've seen read interviews. I've seen behind the music stuff that what seemingly broke that band apart, and it sounds like that was him.
Yeah,
and but as a singer, as a vocalist in that group, I loved him. But
no, in the band, it's perfect. Who else can be that?
Right.
They are who they are because just like Van Halen, Hagar Van Halen. But any band, the package is the package.
Right.
And he was the right guy to make those songs.
Right.
But as a human being, I'm not sure that I like him.
Yeah.
But fuck, who do I care? He's a gazillionaire, and I'm renting an apartment in Manassas, so fuck me, right? I don't, you know, it's you know, I spoke out of turn with that. I wasn't. I don't know him. I just spoke out of my experience, and I was doing a guy's podcast that I'd done before that I didn't think. I don't know that I would have said that if it was an interview with Rolling Stone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's an opinion, right?
Yeah,
An opinion
and
is
I
your
don't hold
opinion.
back. I didn't retract. You saw that. I'm never going to retract. I admit that maybe it was unprofessional for me to say that, but I'm not going to retract. Everything I know is that I probably don't like that guy. But he made some of the most impactful and important music of a generation, and I will never deny that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where can we find you guys on social media and all?
Wylde Style Radio.
Wylde Style Radio.
Wylde
And
Style
Pete
Radio.
Evick. Go ahead.
Yeah, just look Pete Evick up. I don't know any of my handles or anything like that. That's new. That's new technology. Just type my name in Instagram on something.
Hey, go to Wylde Style Radio and you'll be able to see these guys stand up and shout the rock show with Kevin.
Oh,
and
that's
Jeff.
what this is.
Yep.
It's,
This is what this is. It is the movie Stand Up and Shout.
you know that movie's my life, right?
Yeah, right?
It's the story of my life because
Yeah.
you guys remember I did Poison songs in the high school talent shows.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I had some opportunities in the past to join other bands that were, I could have moved my career forward, but I never did because I was sticking to my guns. I'm in Bret's band not because it was an opportunity, it's because of my love for Poison.
I love you way better than Mark Wahlberg. I'll say that. Well, you know what I said. You know,
yeah.
like, you know.
But that movie is, I could have written that movie.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
interesting.
Well, thanks for coming out today, and we're looking forward to the show on the 14th.
Yeah, let's make it a party, man.
And a possible follow-up to this show on the 14th is what I'm hearing too, right? I think you're buying some more microphones, right? There, Jeff? Like we're gonna have like a crew in here. It sounds like it's gonna be a wide conversation possibly that day.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So is this the debut of this?
This is the debut,
Oh, brother. What a fucking honor.
and I lost my virginity to you because
What a fucking honor.
I've never done this before.
Manassas forever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More to come.
Scotty's
more to
raising his fucking hand like he's from Manassas. That Loudoun County motherfucker over there.
come. No, that was a wind-up sign.
All right. Thank you. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show.